What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today is another update video on the game. Basically, we are going to be discussing the crazy amount of things that are basically getting changed, text changed, nerfed, and upgraded in Marvel Snap. Today, we got hit with a massive update, changing some of the most popular cards in the game and changing some new cards in the game. And this is pretty exciting, and I wanted to go ahead and do a review on this for those that don't necessarily always have access to every form of Discord or how these updates are being treated in the game. But basically, I'm going to give an analysis on why and what they're doing, so that basically you kind of get a better grasp of why it was made. With that being said, if you guys can, please don't forget to like and subscribe before getting into this video. It helps me so much, as I'm always trying to help and work super hard to get these videos out for you. So let's go ahead and get into the first one. So the first card that is getting changed is Mobius. This card is basically going to be going from an ongoing to an on reveal. It is getting changed from an ongoing, which was your costs can't be increased, your opponent's costs can't be reduced. It is now going to be the same power and the same cost, but is going to be an on reveal. Until the end of next turn, your costs cannot be increased and your opponent's costs can't be reduced. A big part of this, I guess, is everyone's just kind of running the card, and he is kind of killing off a lot of decks. To be honest, as much as I love this card, it is somewhat unhealthy for the game because it takes so many archetypes away from the game. And by making this an on reveal, it's kind of interesting because now you really have to use it in the sense of trying to predict when your opponent is going to be using certain cards. And it makes this kind of like more of gotcha kind of thing in order to spoil people's turns. And it's interesting because it does do a lot of things in the sense of like, it can counter She-Hulks, it can counter deaths if played just correctly, or if predicted their play correctly on your opponent's, trying to predict your opponent's plays. It does things like predict, if you can predict wave, if you can predict all sorts of interesting things. And yeah, so I actually really think this is a healthier change, and it will be very interesting to see how this comes into play. We will probably see a lot less of Mobius, but if used correctly, depending on the meta shifts, he will be coming in and out of the meta in itself. So let's go ahead and get into the next card. Ravonna Renslayer is going to be going from a 3/3 to a 2/1. This is actually a pretty huge change. Now you'll be able to get her out a lot earlier. You're not going to have to worry about Mobius's as often. Hopefully. And yeah, I mean, this is great. I've been really wanting to use this card since she's come out, and she virtually saw no play because Mobius was the card that got released right after her, and it sucks. Now that she's basically a 2/1, this will be really cool because you're going to start seeing her in so many more decks and potentially even in her own archetypes, and I think this is really great. I think now you'll start seeing Mr. Negative decks again. You're going to start seeing a lot more, maybe Cerebro style decks. Personally, I'm going to be running Cerebro because I think Cerebro 2s and 3s really benefit from a card like her. I mean, maybe not Cerebro 2, but Cerebro 3s in general. And it will support Cerebro 2 because she's going to be a 1 power now. It'll be interesting, and I can't wait to see more Ravonna Renslayer, as I do think she brings a good amount of things to the table that have not been discovered yet. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the next card. Wave. Wave is now going to be getting buffed. She is going to be going from a 3/3 to a 3/5. Now that Mobius is out of the picture, or at least is going to be a lot less out of the picture, you're going to probably see a resurgence in Wave again. It's going to be very interesting, and the fact that she now has a power increase is very surprising to say the least. I can't wait to see what they're thinking of doing. I mean, the fact that she's going to be a 3/5 will give you now an ability to have her in a Cerebro 5 deck, as well as just seeing her at late game shifts with Wave it's interesting how and what they're doing with this card, but expect this card to be basically seen a lot more often now. Sandman. Sandman is basically a card that we just don't really see a whole lot of. And ever since he was a 3 cost into a 4 cost into a 5 cost, I forget how or what they were doing, but I just know for a while he just wasn't a really popular card. And he hasn't seen a whole lot of play aside from Rude Ramp. Now that Mobius and Wave and Electro basically have always just been the moral compass when it comes to, you know, playing 1 card a turn on certain decks, giving him a +1 is going to be pretty beneficial. He virtually sees no play a lot of the time outside of Rude Ramp decks. And, you know, a little power increase is going to be helpful. I think this is kind of a better shift. I think, honestly, a 5/5 was probably a better turn for him. I mean, it's just hard to get him out already, and it'll be interesting to see how he comes into play. Hopefully, the power increase will help him out a little bit, and yeah. Negasonic Teenage Warhead is getting an absolute buff. She is getting a power reduce. She's going to be going from a 3/5 to, I believe, a 3/2. This is going to be a very interesting change because she's getting a text change, and it's for the better. This card is going to be fantastic, and I do think you're going to start seeing a lot more of her in Surfer decks and in Cerebro 2s, especially because I'm one of the people that is definitely pushing Cerebro 2s. She's going to become a fantastic card in the up-and-coming meta shift. She's getting basically a complete rework. Basically, she was originally, after any card is played here, destroy this card and that card. Still, now she's getting a power reduced, right? She's going to be losing 3 power into a 3/2. And now, after any enemy card is played here, destroy it once per game. It'll be pretty interesting if people decide to try to do things like, you know, Zola into her, or maybe even into like just having her played on the field. She's not going to no longer be destroyed. It's basically just going to destroy that 1 card that is played. And she's like almost like a mini Elith for 1 card, and she still gets to remain on the field. I think this is great. I'm really excited to see how this is going to play out. I personally am going to be using this a lot more, as I was always a believer of this card, and I always really liked using this card. But yeah, I mean, she's finally getting some respect, and it'll be really fun to start implementing her into some quirky decks. Ant-Man is going to be getting a text change. He's not really going to be getting any kind of more buff or nerf. He's just going to be getting more of a text change to more coincide cards like Mojo and Dazzler. He's still going to be doing the same thing. He's basically getting a text change as of now, going from if you have 3 cards here +3. Now it's if your side of this location is full +3. This is just more of a text change to more core align with those other cards, and I think that's pretty cool. So now Elith, the moment of truth. Elith is now getting another rework, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually kind of a good thing. I'm going to go ahead and read what they're changing, but before that, I'm going to read what he already does. Basically, he destroys all enemy cards played here this turn, including unrevealed cards. There is a very interesting interaction, and what they're basically doing is his new change will be now only destroy enemy cards that are still on your opponent's side. So basically, this card, for instance, if you were to add things like Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, if you say Viper something over, it's going to destroy only the cards on your side of the field. It's a very interesting and unique thing that they're doing here. I'm going to read the developer note and exactly what they wanted to accomplish with this. This change is a functional adjustment to Elith to get his text in line with how his interacts with control changing effects like Hobgoblin. Before, if the opponent revealed Hobgoblin before your Elith would destroy the Hobgoblin even though it's now on your side. But Elith's text suggests he should only destroy enemy cards. And in the above scenario, Hobgoblin has become friendly. Well, friendly in that he's only one of your cards at least. Elith will now only destroy cards if they're still on your enemy side when Elith reveals. So basically, if I have priority and I put a Hobgoblin on your side of the field, it's another way to counter him, and I think this is very healthy. I'm okay with this change. Usually, and I'm going to be honest, on my channel, and from what I've seen from a lot of other people, we're not fans of Elith. I don't think he's a very healthy card. I just am not a fan with him, even though he's gotten power nerfed. And he's just, in general, a really strong card. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm just really not, and I'm sorry. It's really hard to change my mind. But cards like him and Galactus and Shang-Chi on my channel, we just don't see that kind of thing as a good thing for the game. But you know what? If the developers put it in the game, we learn to live and learn to deal with it. But I do think this is a healthy change. I think this is any way that we can more or not counter a card like him, I'm for it. I'm really for it, and yeah, if he's not changed, I mean, we don't see a whole lot of them as it is, but I'm still an advocate for more counters. I think that this is fair, it's unique, and I think it's just more balanced, intertwined. I don't want to see Elith killed off entirely, and I don't want to see him not played, but like I said, these type of balances, by all means, I'm completely okay with it, and I think this is a more healthier step in the right direction. Is this interaction going to be as often, as much? Probably not. But in the upcoming, cards that are going to be coming out, I think Annihilus is coming out, and that card is going to kill off, negative cards on your side and your opponent's side, which I think is really even cool. I can't wait to see how that card's going to be coming into play. And yeah, with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take off. But if you guys can, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I think if you think that these videos are very informative and helpful on, update launches, give me a like and tell me in the comments, what do you think was the most, craziest change in this update? I mean, for me, I think the Mobius change was definitely a right thing in the right direction. I'm not a fan of the wave, I'm not a fan of wave cards, but tis on, all right? So with that being said, guys, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you made it this far, might as well just smash that like button and smash that subscribe and help your boy out. I work really hard on these videos, and yeah, want to say thank you though. It means a lot that you made it this far. But all right, well, I'll catch you in the next one.